Well, welcome to this fabulous program that we're doing. We're really excited because we're working with let me get this all straight, the International Grief Institute with their professional development program, and Linda Cheatlin Fell, and Glenn Lord are the people that have got us involved in this, right, Heidi?
Absolutely. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Yes, we're excited to be here today, and we're excited for this new organization that is just launching, and we're thrilled to be doing this online class.
Yeah, we are. Now, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and a clinical nurse specialist in psychiatry. And Heidi and I have a foundation called Open to Hope. Heidi, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. Gloria is my mother, and I am a clinical psychologist and a social worker, a clinical social worker. I also have a couple of master's degrees and a doctorate in psychology, and I'm the executive director for the Open to Hope Foundation. And most importantly, I am Scott's sister.
Yeah, right. In 1983, Heidi's brother, my son Scott, was killed with his cousin in an automobile accident. And since then, we have started this foundation with a mission of helping people find hope after loss. So we want to give you some of the things that we have found professionally and with the people that we have worked with. That was our first book, Heidi, right? Open to Hope, Inspirational Stories of Healing After Loss, where we had people who write for our website. We have over 5,000 articles on our website. And we took some of the best that we think you will enjoy, all types of loss, and they're very inspirational stories, aren't there, Heidi?
They really are. And I think it's a really important book because I know when Scott died, I was only 20 years old, and he died in a car accident along with my cousin. They both died. And I honestly did not think that hope was possible at that time. And we are really here to tell you that it is. And like my mom said, there are so many people in this book who have found hope again and didn't think it was possible. So we're going to talk to you all today about how to find hope and give you 10 tips so that you can help heal and cope after a loss.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to the first slide,
Oh,
which is an important one because it's got those 10 things on. And
yeah.
the neat thing about this, Heidi, is that they're research based. I mean, all these things that you look at them and think, oh, that's kind of a no-brainer. But they've actually done research on it to find out some of these things that you can do, right, Heidi?
Absolutely. And that's really important because we're not just telling you, okay, just do this because it feels good. They are research based, and people have studied hundreds of thousands of people to show you that this does work. And that is very, very important. I know that I am an adjunct professor at Columbia University, and I teach a lot of these things to my graduate students. So, even if you don't buy into it, it'll still work. And I think that's one of the most amazing things too, Mom.
For sure. Well, we're going to go over the 10 things. I'll go over five of them. Heidi can go over them. And then we're going to kind of dive in a little deeper for you. What
Mhm.
we'd like you to do when we introduce these to you, if you've got a pad of paper or if you just want to remember one or two that you want to dial in on, because at the end we're going to show that you them again, and we're hoping that you'll pick something to begin with. So let's start. How do you want to give us the first five?
Give the first five.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to talk today about breathing. You need to go back because you just went through them. We went through them really fast. Can you get back to that slide? If not, okay, there we go.
Thank you.
We are going to talk about breathing, gratitude, sleep, mindfulness, self-compassion. That's the first five. Do you want me to go through the next ones, Mom?
Well, I'll do the next. Social connection, exercise, laughter, focus on the positive, and hugs. And now, if something just comes up for you, all of a sudden, write it down or keep a little thought about it in your mind. Hey, I use those. I do that. And we'll talk about it as we go on. Well, let's start with the first one now, with the first slide about breath. You want to talk about it, Hyde? There's Andrew Weil, right?
Yes, Dr. Anderwell is a very important person in this field. He's a pioneer. He's been talking about health and wellness way before most people did.
Way,
Uh,
way before.
he's been doing this work for over 50 years.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is that we're going to talk about the breath today, and it is a major way to have hope in your life, and to reduce your bereavement stress. So he
Yes,
said,
Heidi, when I hear that, I say, well, I've always breathed. I've
right,
always been
exactly.
breathing. But what
Yes,
about?
it sounds very right. It sounds like, okay, what don't I know? But what he says is, if I had to limit my advice on healthier living to just one tip, it would be simply to learn how to breathe correctly. And
I don't think people realize, and people that are watching this, is that when you breathe from the upper part of your body, that is the sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight and flight. When you get down into the belly, that's what they call repose and repair. That's where you go into relaxation. So just breathing correctly can change your chemistry.
absolutely. And let me just go through the slide quickly because I know you guys are reading it. Our breath is shallow when we're stressed and grieving. Like my mom said, we're breathing very shallowly. So for optimal health, you want to breathe deeply into the belly, exhaling slowly. And I love that he said, practice taking 3 deep breaths. This is another a professor from Harvard, Dr. Ben Scher, says practice taking 3 deep breaths several times throughout the day, and he suggests you do it at red lights. And I
I
love
love
that.
that.
Happens when we get to a red light. Like, when's it going to turn green? Move out of my way. You start getting all revved up.
Yeah, and it goes up into the upper part of the body. You breathe low and it relaxes you.
So instead, take the deep breath when you're at a red light.
Right. We're going to do a little practice of it, aren't we, Heidi?
We are. So let's go to the next slide, Mom. Here we go. So I want everybody out there to do this. It's very easy to do. You know, you need to feel grounded throughout your day. Think of doing this throughout your day. So I want you to sit up straight and place your feet on the floor. And
Got
then
it.
you got that, Mom?
Yep.
You have your feet on the floor. And then you're going to breathe in. And when you breathe in, you're going to say to yourself the word let. And then you're going to breathe out and you're going to say to yourself, go.
Okay.
And you're going to repeat that 3 times to yourself. So we're going to do it right now.
Wow, I feel better already after getting revved up to do this little seminar we're doing.
It is amazing. And I'm going to tell you, if we were all in this room, I do this sometimes when I'm doing workshops, and I've done it with you, Mom, the energy completely shifts. It creates people feeling so calm. It's almost like you're letting go of all the stress in your life. You're letting go of your grief. You're letting go of your burden. So
I'll
it's
have to tell you though, I have to close my eyes. I'm a
I saw you doing that. I left mine open. I was staring at you. I love that you did that.
Okay, so we're heading on to the next one, which is incredible. I mean, I can't tell you how incredible gratitude is. I've been taking a seminar at Stanford, and we are just working on gratitude, how important it is. Again, it actually changes your brain chemistry, expressing gratitude, right, Heidi?
Absolutely. It is the number one thing that led to the biggest happiness increases in the research. The number one thing. Think of how easy it is to do. I mean, today I can say I'm grateful that I was given the opportunity to do this online class today. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. But we often have we present to bereaved parents, and they're like, I have nothing to be, what am I going to be grateful for? And I know how it is. I know when Scott died, I, didn't feel like I wanted to be grateful. But if you can just think of, I'm grateful you're laying in bed, that I can open my eyes. I'm grateful that the covers are warm. I'm grateful that I can put my foot out, put my shoes on. Just the smallest thing, and start small.
absolutely. And I like what you're saying, because you're saying, okay, sometimes we feel like we have to be in a grateful place to be grateful, but that's not the way it works. And if you see in this little
Yeah.
quote right there, it says, it's not happiness that brings us gratitude. It's gratitude that brings us happiness. So if you're
Yeah.
in a bad place, that is when you need it's best to have the gratitude. Is when you're in a dark place, is when you're in a painful place, because that will shift your energy.
Right. And you might say, well, I'm going to hold back. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let myself do that. But you need to. You need to, even though it's hard and you don't feel like you deserve. to be happy, whatever, you got to think about your loved ones. They want the best for you. They want you to go on. So think of the smallest thing that you can think of. Think of, again, just the covers are warm, maybe.
Yeah. And Mom, I want to say something about that our loved ones want us to go on. They do want us to go on, and Scott wants me to be happy, and he wants me to have a great life. However, early on in my grief, I understood that intellectually, but my heart wasn't ready to accept it. So
Mhm.
sometimes some of us aren't ready yet. And that's
Right,
why our organization, the Open to Hope Foundation, instead of the Hope Foundation, because we want everybody out there to just be open to the idea that if you don't have hope right now, that someday you might find hope or just a little glimmer of it.
right. So just open yourself to the idea. Mm.
Yes. And
So,
there's this the at the bottom there's an exercise you can do, and it is shown to have major positive psychological effects. And it's to keep a gratitude journal and write down 5 things you're grateful for every day, even if they're simple. I'm grateful that my hot water was hot during the shower. I'm grateful that my lights turned on. It doesn't have to be something profound. That
right.
will shift how you feel, though.
And it's, they've done brain scans and brain things. As I said, I'm taking this class at Stanford, and they've actually looked at the brains of people who express that gratitude and brains that don't, and different parts of the brain light up. So, finding that hopeful. So just try it. As Heidi said, you don't have to even think it works, right, Heidi?
Absolutely. And one of the things that they said was the most profound, if you're ready for it, is to write a letter, a handwritten letter to someone you were grateful for, and to mail it. There's something about putting it in the mail that really helps people.
Hey, we just did an exercise in my class, Heidi, which is kind of amusing. We wrote a letter to ourselves,
Oh,
a
I love
kind letter of how we found gratitude in our life. Then our professor, put our address on it, and then he's going to mail it to us, and we'll never know when.
I love this. And I love the idea of self-compassion, which I was just talking to someone about today. Writing a positive letter to yourself and giving yourself some self-compassion.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And gratitude for who you are. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a gratitude exercise, right?
Yes, we do. Let's see.
Okay. This is going to be fun,
I
Heidi,
can't see it on
because you're going to think of something you're grateful for and you're going to tell me what it is.
Oh, okay. I'm
Because
going to
our
think.
exercise is to turn to your neighbor, right?
Okay, let's see. I am grateful for my mother who's on this webinar today and this class.
All right, let's see. It's funny how you're not sure you're grateful or not. My husband was supposed to have surgery tomorrow, and he has pink eye, and he can't have surgery.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, I'm grateful that he's not going to be in pain tomorrow and have surgery.
That makes sense. And from a grief and loss perspective, I am grateful that Matthew and Scott, my brother, that I
Mm,
had for 17 and a half years and Scott was on this earth. And that I had that opportunity to grow up with them.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a double-edged thing, gratitude, isn't it? You're
Absolutely.
grateful for some kind of odd things. So awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is sleep. Whoa, that's a big
I'm
one.
a little behind you. Okay, there we go. There we go, Gloria. I
Oh,
always
did
try to
I put the wrong one in the wrong
I
place?
always
No,
say
that's great.
to everybody that's out there, I always try to keep up with my mom, but I just can't. This is a great example. Okay, now I'm with you. I'm on the same page. Okay.
Sleep.
Yeah.
One thing that changed my life, I mean, it's funny when maybe you'll pick up something from the seminar, just one thing that will really stick with you. We had a guy on our radio show, and you can go to our site, opentohope.com, and Google Jed Black, Dr. Jed Black. He's the head of the Stanford Sleep uh, program. He was. And he came on our radio show, and he said something that has really changed my sleep life. And that is that, you know how you say, "Oh, Heidi, I used to sleep like a baby, and now, I don't sleep as well." And Jed said to me, "Gloria, babies don't sleep all night long. They wake up a lot." He said the thing is they don't have a well enough developed brain that they remember that they woke up. And he said, adults actually wake up on the average of 7 times a night.
Right, 7 to 10 times.
Yeah, and that's really cool because now when I wake up, what do you say when you wake up, Heidi, after hearing Jed?
Well, I used to be anxious about it, but now I just say, "Oh, that's one of my 10 times." I'm
Yeah,
fine. I don't get myself revved up and worked up anymore if I wake up 10 times,
yeah.
and it helps
But
me get back to sleep quickly.
one of the things that he also said, though, he said it's really people use maybe a glass of wine or a glass of beer or whatever to relax them before they go to sleep. And he says that if you do that, you're going to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right?
So you pay a little price for that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't find that, but yeah, when I have a glass of wine, it doesn't seem to alter my sleep, but obviously some people it does. But
It
yes,
does,
I
it does mine, but certainly if you do it occasionally, but if you're doing it every night to get you
yeah,
to sleep, it can, which can happen after you've had a loss because you're so revved up.
absolutely.
So not a great sleeping pill.
No, absolutely. And then you can start becoming psychologically thinking you need it. It's
Yeah,
not an addiction, but you can think it is.
right.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm just noticing there's little things that people are saying. So
Oh, they are.
Glenn Lord just said, I am grateful for the love and energy on this webinar. Hi,
Ah,
Glenn.
Glenn Lord, thank you.
Thank you. I'm just noticing the little chat.
Woo!
Um, so yes, we're grateful for you and that you joined us. Uh,
Yes, for sure.
there's some little things here to do. Get up and go to sleep at the same time every day,
Mhm.
and no bright light screens. Bright lights
Yeah,
are dangerous. Sometimes, Mom, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I notice somebody texted me, and sometimes I have to admit I kind of look at it, and I shouldn't. I
the
shouldn't.
worst thing to do, and the kids are doing it now, is taking those phones to bed.
I
It's not a
know.
good thing.
I know. Can I tell you? I walked in the other day to Alexander. He was over here, and I walked into his room in the middle of the night, and his phone. He was sleeping on it like a pillow. My 19-year-old, and I thought, no, that's not a good thing.
Hey, I use iPad to read the New York Times at night. I'll have to say it kind of puts me to sleep, but you can make the background black instead of that blue.
That's good.
Yeah, which is a little bit less gnarly, but I don't know. My husband's always Heidi's dad has always said no TV in the bedroom
Mm.
of all of our years, and that's worked out pretty well. So that but taking this equipment to bed with you is can keep you awake.
You definitely can. And then obviously, Mom, no caffeine. They say they recommend within 10 hours of bedtime, and I definitely have to think about that because caffeine does impact my sleep a lot.
Hmm. Yep. So good ideas, and there's a lot on the internet too about sleep. If you need more things, and sometimes people like the sound, sound and their meditations and different things that you can do if you need something to help you relax more. So we're going to go to technique number 4, which is mindfulness meditation. Oh my gosh, I will have to tell you, if you go to the compassion train at Stanford, that's what I'm doing, the compassion train. And the program was started by the Dalai Lama. He actually gave Stanford the money to start the program.
It's called the
And
compassion train.
that compassion train
That's very cool.
at Stanford. And they teach classes. My teacher is a Buddhist, has been a Buddhist monk, and it's all based on meditation. And if you go to Stanford, compassion and caring, I think is what it's called. My class is a compassion caring. If you go to Stanford, compassion and caring, you will see information about the research that Stanford's been doing on the brain for the last 10 years, showing it's kind of interesting. Meditators who have meditated for long periods of time have the areas of the brain don't light up as much when they don't get as upset, basically. The people who have only been meditating shortly,
Hmm.
different parts of the brain light up and they are able to kind of ignore it and dumb it down. But the people who are long-term meditators actually don't respond the same way to bad information.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you go to Compassion and Caring, you'll see that, and
Well, I know
very,
that
very
people
program.
that meditate are less likely to get dementia
Mm-hmm. That's right. They're less likely
as
because
they
there's
age, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is because they're stimulating different parts of the brain and keeping the brain healthy.
Yep, exactly. And it is like you said, it's like a workout. Isn't it like a mindful workout? It's like a, I don't know, a brain workout, isn't it?
Hmm. Well,
Meditation.
well, it depends on if you're listening to a meditation or not. If you're listening to a meditation, the brain's a little more active. Or if you're a long-term meditator, people actually put themselves in a place where the brain is relaxing completely.
That's amazing.
So, so
Because
it's
when we're
pretty
sleeping, it's
interesting.
not relaxing because you're dreaming.
Right. And it strengthens the immune system and it does change your mood. I'll have to say that I can see that, but it's been really interesting. So I would suggest that you think about that and maybe there are meditation classes all over. You might want to think about taking one and doing something.
Well,
I think
although,
it's hard to meditate. I want to say if you're stressed, if you've had a loss, you got the monkey mind. I think it's almost impossible for somebody who is very newly bereaved to do a total silent meditation. I think you're better with going online and getting a verbal one where people are talking you through the relaxation because your mind is just going to town.
and starting small, 5 minutes or something. I don't, I think,
Exactly. Start small. Find somebody who's doing a short meditation that you like and
yeah.
try that. And don't expect, amazing things to happen right away. It is a discipline. And as my teacher said, it's like learning to play the piano.
Hmm. Yeah, and Dr. Ben Shar, again out of Harvard, said that meditating 15 minutes daily decreases anxiety, changes mood, strengthens the immune system. And you said a lot of that today.
And may I say one thing, 15 minutes a day is darn hard because I've been doing 15 minutes to a half
Yeah.
hour and it is hard to make that time.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. So Heidi's right. If you can, and my teacher also says if you can even do 5 a day, do that.
Well, it's funny that you said it's hard to make that time because people that are really hardcore meditators say that they set up the meditation first and the rest of their day is scheduled around that time frame. They,
Yeah.
they, they think that that's something that they absolutely have to do. They're never too busy to meditate.
I will tell you, I've been doing it for about 3 weeks now, and I've meditated before, but now I'm doing it every day. I actually have a meditation log, which I will say really does make you meditate because you got to write it down. It's my homework, but I really find that I look forward to it,
Yeah.
having that quiet time. So something you might consider. So let's talk about technique 5, self-compassion. Wow, that's a big one.
Yes, and we brought it up a little bit today.
Yeah.
Treating yourself the way you'd want others to treat you. I like that picture too. And
Mm-hmm.
we beat ourselves up, we judge ourselves, we shit on ourselves, which we should never shit on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We even judge the way that we're doing the grief. I mean, if we're early on, you're not doing a lot. You don't think your life is so turned upside down. I remember being in my robe at 2 in the afternoon and think I haven't done anything today, but you're doing the work of grief
Yeah,
initially.
it
It's
is
hard.
hard to work. It isn't definitely. And compassion is very interesting because in the course I'm taking, they say that suffering is when compassion is when suffering meets love.
Oh, okay. I like that.
And the love is love of yourself.
Absolutely.
And they are focusing, honestly, this whole week with the whole 8 weeks and everything is really, when it comes right down to it, it is loving yourself for the perfect, wonderful person you are
And that's
and
definitely,
trying to find that again. So, because if you find that, then you can have compassion, the compassion that you deserve, that you would give other people, but you don't give that wonderful person that you are that compassion. So working on compassion is self-compassion. And again, to say compassion happens when suffering meets love.
so you're suffering, but you still love yourself. Is that what that means?
Yeah, suffering and you meet love, and then you say, you're going to be okay, Gloria.
Yeah.
Scott died, but you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So
Yeah.
that's the compassion.
And people worry about that because they think, well, I don't want to be a narcissist. you can have self-compassion without being a narcissist. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Absolutely.
important to, like you said, almost talk about ourselves in third person. And I'm always telling people, especially my clients that I work with, we spend so much time thinking about what we're putting in our mouths. Is it, gluten-free or salt-free or
Right.
dairy-free or vegan, but think about what you're putting in your head. Think about the way you're communicating with yourselves. When we beat ourselves up and we have violent communication, that's just like eating Twinkies 24/7. We're
Mm-hmm.
feeding our brains all this garbage. So we need to start feeding our minds and our brains positive thoughts. And like you said, Mom, self-compassion and taking
Mm-hmm.
care of not just our bodies, but our minds as well. It's really, really important because if
And
we keep bashing ourselves, we'll feel bad.
and that's part of what we're doing with you today in this program is saying to you, let's find one thing today where you can take care of yourself, basically. And you should start where you are and do what you can. Remember that. Start where you are and do what you can.
Exactly, because we're all human. So
Absolutely.
we all have our flaws and our strengths and our weaknesses. And I mean, we've got to give ourselves a little bit of a break. Like you said, start where you are.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next one, social connection, because we've had Linda's on helping us run this program, Glenn's dialing in, and that's about connection. We are social beings. I love seeing you on the show, Heidi, because we often talk on the phone. We've done what, over 500 radio shows together, and it's kind of fun to connect.
Well, and I
Be
love
a
what's going
teacher.
on the internet right now with this class and with what we're going to start doing. There is a lot of opportunities to see each other now.
Hmm.
So it's really great to see people's faces and to feel more connected on the internet because as you're seeing on this slide, we are born to connect. Today, half
Hmm.
of all Americans have no close friends. Most Americans lack a sense of belonging to a community, and we've traded in FaceTime for screen time.
Hmm.
Things we really need to think about. We still need to connect to people. And what's interesting is they just did a brand study, which has been going on for 75 years, but the results just came out. And it's Dr. George Valiant through Harvard University. And what he found, he followed the same men, Mom, for 75 years.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, they've put out data throughout time because I used to look at that 40 years ago. So it's absolutely amazing. But let me say one other thing that's really interesting. We are so focused on suicide of young people, and while that is, not diminishing at all, it is very heinous. Heidi, did you know the number one suicide is adult males over 60? And the reason it is because they're so isolated.
Right. And sometimes if they retire, if they retire or whatever, they start to lose their purpose. Yes, we need to connect. So this study found that warmth of relationships throughout life had the greatest positive impact on life satisfaction. It wasn't money, it wasn't career, it wasn't status, it was warmth of relationships. And I think that's amazing.
I think it is too. Warmth of relationships. So really an important one. And finding a community. I love the Compassionate Friends. Heidi and I have both been on the board, and Glenn has a wonderful organization. And there are things like Soaring Spirits for Widows. And the internet's just full of things. And there are things in your community. So if you need to connect and you've had a loss, call your local hospital or your hospice and find out where there are groups and community and where you can be part of something. It's
Yeah,
nice to be part of something bigger than yourself, isn't it?
it absolutely is. And like you said, the Compassionate Friends is a really big one. And also TAPS. My
Hmm.
mom on the advisory board for TAPS, and that's for military families. So
Hmm. Wonderful organization, Bonnie Carroll.
there are a lot of things out there to connect with for those of you out there that are feeling like you're isolated.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So going on to the next one is, a social connection. We can't do this because
But
we
I'm
only,
thinking you
well,
can.
we can give them a challenge.
No, you can do it, Mom. Because did you know it says shake hands with your neighbor for 6 seconds and it will boost your social resilience? Did you know that if you shake hands with yourself, your body gets the same benefit because it
Ah,
feels that connection? So you can do it with yourself right now. And then now give them the challenge, Mom. What challenge are you going to give them?
okay. The challenge is for you to find one person to shake hands with. It's today. in this day, one person to just shake hands with. It's called the galvanic skin response.
Yeah.
When you touch skin to skin with another person, it gives you the skin response that goes through your whole body. So, shake hands,
And it's
get that
fun in our
touching.
workshops because when we do this, and this is a lot of times at grief conferences, when we do this exercise at grief conferences, everybody starts laughing and smiling. It's hard not to smile when you're looking at someone shaking their hand. It completely changes the energy. People are laughing in the room just by shaking hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've gotten to the point where people are bumping fists and all that because they
Mm.
don't want to get
That's
bacteria on their hands. Come on,
that's
give
okay.
us a break. Carry your hand cleaner or whatever.
Carry your hand cleaner.
Uh,
Okay, so what's the next one, Gloria?
Okay, so we're heading on to exercise. Yeah, nothing like exercise.
Woo.
Um, you know, we had Bessel van der Kolk on our show. He wrote a book called I just lost the name of his book.
The body keeps the score. He's
Yeah,
a psychiatrist.
from Boston, and he has been one of the late major researchers on trauma,
Yeah.
and he has found yoga changes actually the brain chemistry. So exercising can do a lot for you, and walking every day can reduce the risk of strokes. So if you don't do that, I don't do high impact exercise anymore. I do yoga and I take walks and I play some golf. So, with exercise, the important thing is don't all of a sudden join the gym if you've never joined a gym. They did a study where they found that people who joined gyms, they took a group, an office, and they split them in half, and they paid for a gym for half the group, and the other half walked up the stairs to work every day. Who do you think had the best results after a year, Heidi?
The ones that walked up the stairs. You
Right.
think?
They were in the best shape.
Because you don't have to go to the gym, right?
Right. Now I say to myself, when I park my car, when I go into a parking lot, I'll park a long ways away from the door. Or when I am out walking and I have to walk up a hill, I'll think this is great. Or if I have to take some stairs, and I lived in San Francisco where it's very hilly, and rather than saying, "Oh my gosh, I got to get up that hill," I'm like, "Wow, I get some exercise." Now, how about cleaning, Heidi?
Yes, this is really good. So research shows that if you tell yourself that you're exercising before you clean your house, it gets your brain in that state and you will burn more calories, which I think is amazing and has totally changed the way that I feel about cleaning my house. I've got to tell you, because now I'm like cleaning my bathroom going, I'm doing exercise. This is great. And I'm burning calories.
Yeah,
So
and it has Bessel did a study, looked at depression and yoga, and he found that yoga was as good as antidepressants, people. So you might want to consider doing
exercise
some
in
type of
general,
exercise.
exercise is like taking an antidepressant. Like you said, it's medicine. What's interesting to me is 60% of all Americans get no exercise, none. And like you said, walking is so key. We cannot minimize the power of walking. Walking just 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week will change your life. And walking just 10 minutes a day feels good 2 hours later. Just 10
I used
minutes.
to I used to laugh because my in-laws used to walk around the block. Your grandpa Scott, Heidi, in Manila used to
Yes,
walk around the block a couple of times after dinner every evening, and I thought that was kind of quaint. And now I realize how wise they were.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Has been found to be more impactful than Zoloft in 2 research studies. So it is medicine. It's got an antidepressant effect. It enhances mental sharpness. Dopamine and serotonin are signaling, and it's got anti-aging effects. I start every day that I can walking. And
Mhm.
whenever I get on the phone, I go for a walk. I'm like, okay, I'm on the phone now. Let me put a headset on and walk.
That reminds me of Steve Jobs. Is Steve Jobs Apple? No.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is the other.
He always had his meetings walking.
Yeah, that's great. I
So if
love it.
you got a one-to-one meeting or you're on the phone, Heidi and I don't think we ever talk when we're not out walking or something, do we, Heidi? You
Always
walk
walk.
up at the same time in the morning I do.
Yeah, exactly. And even
Yeah.
when I'm in my office, if I'm on the phone, I just walk. And my office isn't huge. I just walk in a small space. You don't need a lot of space to get exercise. I just moved from 1,700 square feet and I walked all the time.
And
So,
get yourself a decent pair of shoes, women.
right.
Really. Get
Well, you can carry your
yourselves,
heels in your purse. That's what I do. Carry your
do
heels
what?
in your purse. I said carry your heels in your purse, but walk, you're right, walk with sneakers.
Yeah,
You know,
walk with sneakers. I think women are more overweight than men, and I think it's because they are dressed up, and the men are the ones that run into the drugstore and the grocery store and, run around because they've got sensible shoes. So as Heidi said, keep them in your purse, but get some good sneakers.
yeah.
So I was talking about yoga. We're going to move on to yoga now. And Heidi, we can do our eagle arm twist.
Yes, we can. Okay, so let's get the yoga slide, and there we go. Okay, so for those of you, yes, you can just go like this. You can sit in your chair and do this. Now, if you're worried about something happening, then don't do this. But this is really important. And then do the other side. What you do on one side, you have to do on the other side.
Yep,
Make
just
sure
turn.
you do it.
And that's what you can do anywhere, and it's fabulous for the waist.
Opens up, yes, and your back, and you can twist. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do when you're in a chair.
Yeah.
I have an app on my iPhone that tells me I don't know, every couple hours or whatever, you need to stand right now. You need to sit. You need to move. You need to walk.
Oh, I love that. It's an
It
app,
helps,
huh?
yes, it helps me move my body throughout the day.
And remind you.
Yes,
Awesome.
it buzzes
Awesome. Awesome.
and reminds me. Because, sometimes when we're doing work, you know how it is. We're at the computer for hours and we don't even realize it. We're hunched over the computer.
Right, exactly. So we're on technique 7 and more physical exercises. So how about raising your hands over your head for 5 seconds?
Okay, are we on to that slide? You're going on
Yeah.
that slide. There we go. So this boosts physical resilience. Raise your hands over your head for 5 seconds.
1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005.
Yeah,
Simple. Yay. We did it.
how good that feels. And then if you snap your fingers 50 times, it boosts mental resilience. So snap your fingers 50 times.
You have to do both sides.
Yes, because that's hard. Did you know this is very difficult? If you've had a stroke or something major happen physically, you can't do this. Don't minimize how much is
No,
going
and you can
on.
clap your hands together 50 times if you can't do this. If
Oh,
you
that's a
have
good.
arthritis or whatever.
That's a good idea. Some people can't snap.
Yeah, just clap your hands together. All right. And that actually energizes both
I'm not
both
done,
sides of the
Graham.
brain. Oh, and by the way, Harvard just did a study on Tai Chi, Heidi. And my sister is a little older than I am, and she's in her 80s, and she has trouble getting off the floor, and she does Tai Chi. I
That's
went to her Tai
amazing.
Chi class with her. She never has to go on the floor. She does all these great movements,
How did
and
you feel
she
afterwards?
loves it.
I've never
What?
done Tai Chi. I'd never done Tai Chi. I've just seen it done, especially when I was in China. How
Yeah.
did you feel after you did it?
I felt great. I went to it with her, and I was surprised how great I felt in doing those movements. It was really wonderful. And Harvard has just shown that again, Tai Chi increases your mental resilience. It is good for aging. It's just good for movement, and it's a wonderful thing because a lot of people cannot get up and down off the floor. And with
Right.
Tai Chi, you don't have to. And our friend, we have a friend who, Carl Snip, who is in his 80s and he does chair yoga at
It
his
does?
community center.
I didn't know Carl did that. That's very
Yeah,
cool. I
he
love
does that. His wife used to kid, she's passed away, she's a wonderful person. His wife used to kid that the people at the center were always disappointed if he missed his chair yoga.
I love that. Well, I remember reading about these twins that were over 100. They were dentists. And they said every morning they woke up feeling kind of down. And the way they started their day is to put their feet up against the wall because that's a yoga move and get
Yeah,
their
absolutely.
and they said it made them feel really good. That's how they started their day.
And may I say about yoga, I've been doing yoga for many years. You can find a beginning yoga class. You don't have to. Somebody said, "Well, I'm not limber enough to do yoga," which is a joke because that's why you do yoga, to get limber.
Exactly. You don't need to be flexible to do yoga. You don't need to touch your toes to do yoga. You don't need to do a headstand or a handstand or any of that stuff. I don't do it, and I do yoga. And like you said, you can do a restorative yoga class, which makes you feel like you're not doing anything. you'll be surprised, but you feel really great afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good thing. All right. How about we're on laughter, Heidi?
Love it. One of my
I love that
favorites.
baby picture. Stay strong.
The weekend is coming. You know,
Something you might want to put on your iPhone.
yes, I agree. We use humor a lot. I use humor a lot in my life. I always say as a psychologist, it's a very adaptive coping mechanism. Don't get rid of it. It's
Mhm,
okay to laugh. You want to laugh. You just don't want to laugh at people. You want to laugh with people.
mhm.
And sometimes take
And
yourself a little lighter and laugh at yourself more.
yeah, and I remember when Scott was killed, I didn't laugh for so long. We did the dark humor, we made jokes, remember Heidi, about the
Yes.
funeral and jokes that would not be funny at all now. But just kind of dealing with it. But I remember that the movie Tootsie was a very funny movie, and we heard that it was really good, my husband and I, probably 3 or 4 months after Scott died. So we decided we would go to a funny movie. And do you think we went in our neighborhood? Heavens no. We drove about 25 miles to a theater away from there because we didn't want anybody to see us laugh.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's
Would
why it's
you?
be in grief communities, because when you're at Compassionate Friends or TAPS or Soaring Spirits, you can laugh and people understand. They get it. They don't judge you.
Right, exactly. And laughter yoga, our friend Linda, it wasn't it Linda that did it? I can't remember her last name.
I don't know.
Anyway, taught laughter yoga, and
Tony
everybody's in the
Rubino did
room
it
are
one year.
laughing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Tony Rubino did it one year at
Oh, I mean
Compassion.
Tony Rubino. I meant Tony.
I
Yeah,
couldn't figure out why everybody was laughing. In the next room, I was like, what is going on? And I realized it was laughter yoga, which I love.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So, okay, let's do our baby laugh.
okay, but let's look at laughter for a minute. So,
Okay,
it
let's
relieves
look at.
stress for up to 45 minutes. It boosts the immune system and triggers a release of endorphins, believe it or not. 10 to 15 minutes of laughter a day can burn up to 40 calories. That is worth laughing for. I have to say, yes, that is worth laughing for. And then a sense of humor can protect against heart disease. I mean, these are
Yeah,
adaptive things. This is stuff that can help your health.
yeah. This is serious business. So laughter is an important thing.
Yep.
And you can get a funny movie, or don't be afraid to do something fun, something silly.
Right.
Take a risk. I think one thing that does happen, if you think about it, after you've had a really serious loss, you feel like you've got nothing left to lose. So take that and do improv or something. Our
Yes.
friend uh,
Bart
talk
some
about Bart Sumner teaches improv at Compassionate Friends National Conferences, and Bessel van der Kolk said that his son was very, very depressed, and he started taking improv, and it changed his life.
yeah, improv is really powerful. And I never knew
Do
that until I met Bart.
you know what I mean, do you want to explain what improv is, just in case there's somebody who doesn't know?
I don't know if I can do it justice, Mom. You put me on the spot here.
Well, it's kind of like laughing, just go.
Maybe I'll just improv here. Okay, so I
Yeah, you're
think
doing it now.
it's role play, isn't it? It's role
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
It's
or
playing another role,
yeah,
getting
and
yourself
saying,
a
"Oh, this is what I'd do if I were Heidi Horsley," or
yes, exactly.
or if I were a dog, or if I were a chimpanzee, or they do whatever, just kind of silly stuff. So
Exactly.
yeah, I just sent. You just got that Halloween thing, right? About the
Yes,
spider.
yes.
We just sent a scary. My husband just sent a scary thing out where how they catch spiders in Australia, and it scares you, and then you laugh. So I
Yep.
love Halloween coming up because my grandson says you need to be scared once a day, and maybe that's why, because you usually laugh after you get scared, right?
The downside of Halloween, though, is there's a lot of children in costumes with masks, and it brings back a lot of memories of siblings and
True.
children who died and grandchildren. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a bittersweet kind of time of year because
Yeah.
when you see kids that are in masks, you can think about Scott and people that you've loved that have died.
Yeah. But maybe this year you might want to take a risk and laugh at a funny costume or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Give yourself a homework assignment.
Yeah. See if you can find a costume that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. Okay. So we're on to the next one, talking about laughter without borders. Heidi, give us
I like
the assignment. Hey, Glenn, text in how many you think.
You're putting Glenn on the spot here. Okay. So, yeah. So, and I see, oh, Glenn just did. And I see that Christine's here too. Yes. So Glenn said, on average, how often do babies laugh? He said 50 times on a day. Okay. So on average, how often do babies laugh a day? So Glenn is saying 50. Glenn, how often do you think adults laugh? Thinking about it. Two. Okay, so you're not that far off with the adults. Babies laugh on average 300 times a day.
All
And a lot
right.
of people like to argue with me about this and debate, and I get a lot of pushback, and I say, don't talk to me about it. Just go and talk. Look at Dr. Robert Proving. He's a neuroscientist. He has devoted his entire life to this. His entire life has been research studies, and he'll show you the data and the research. 300 times a day. How often do adults laugh on average a day? 20. So we've gone from 300 to 20.
And
So we
think about what's going on about that, Heidi, because we were talking about social connection earlier, and babies are doing this to make social connection. So think about your smiling, your laughing. That's connecting you socially with people, and you need that. You need that social connection. It feeds you.
Yes, I agree. And if we're smiling and laughing in the world, it's going to draw people to us. If we're frowning and have negative energy, people are going to avoid us. That's the reality of it. And Christine, hi Christine, just said laughter is contagious. It is very contagious, right? It's really
Yeah.
contagious.
Okay,
So,
so let's talk about technique 9, focus on the positive.
okay, here we go. I
I
love
love
those
those
pictures.
pictures.
Any pictures that you can put on your iPhone that will improve your mood, do. Because when you look at animal pictures, they improve mood and they increase productivity. Again, it was a study done. So put them on your phone. A lot of times I'll text people really cute pictures of animals, especially if they're having a hard time, and they love it. They're like, thank you so much. I feel so much better. I said, yes, I know you do because the research is supporting that. So find things that make you smile and laugh. So for this one, Mom, focusing on positive. For optimal brain function and well-being, focus on 3 positive emotions for every 1 negative emotion.
Mm.
Got to think about it in your head. Pretend there's a scale in your head. So for every 3 positive, for every one time you're negative, you've got to say, okay, wait, I'm out of balance here. I need to think about 3 positive things and keep that
Yeah,
in mind.
absolutely. That's an important thing. And again, it is hard sometimes to focus on the positive when you've
Yeah,
had loss and you really need to be good and kind to yourself. And if you're thinking too negatively, notice it. You don't have to change it. Notice it, and it will probably bring you to thinking of it a little more positively by just noticing.
exactly. So, Mom, we're going to do an exercise. So, Greta, get a pen or pencil, everybody. Okay, I'm going to get this, my daughter's pencil. Um, so, so I want you to bite down on a pen or pencil in your mouth and smile for 60 seconds. Good to have this because it forces you to smile and do it for 60 seconds. Mm.
Uh-huh. She got it in the wrong way. Yes, that
Smile,
way.
Glenn, bigger. Come on. Oh, where's Christine? I hope she's not frowning somewhere. Okay, so
Thank you, then.
take it out and you're still smiling. It's fun. So what does it do is it tells your brain that you're happy. See,
Yeah,
Glenn is still smiling, he's starting to laugh. It tells your brain that you're happy, and you don't have to be happy for it to work. So it works regardless, which I think is phenomenal. So next time you're really down, do it. It will shift the way you feel.
absolutely. And if you're at work and you're really feeling gnarly, you can go in the bathroom with a pencil and put yourself in a stall and do that.
And if you don't have a pencil or pen, do it with your finger. Just don't bite down too
Yeah.
hard. It'll do the same thing. I love it. Okay.
Oh, and looking at animal pictures, Hiroshima University found that looking at animal pictures, what made people happy, Heidi?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said earlier. So go to the next slide and we'll see animal pictures on the next slide. There you go. How adorable are those? Hi, everybody. Look at these guys. I mean, they're waving at us.
Aren't they
They're so
cute?
cute. Put those on your phone. Put those on your screensaver because it will make you feel good when you're having a bad moment and a bad day and a bad time. Look at them because you're gonna
Yeah.
laugh. How can you not? Look how cute they are. They're adorable. I want to adopt those four things. They're so cute. And you
Absolutely.
notice I do pictures and not babies. There's a reason for that because we're talking about finding hope after loss, and for some of us, babies might symbolize miscarriages and
Mhm.
babies dying and loss of future and loss of our children. So and loss of our siblings. I don't put babies. I put the baby animals.
Okay, Heidi, now wait a minute. You know, our animal lovers are going to say,
I
hey, it makes me
know.
sad to see the animals. And well, for those folks, they can put baby pictures on.
Yes, I agree with you, Mom. If this is a trigger, you don't want to use it.
Hmm.
That's a good point. You can put babies.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get to hugging. Oh, hugging. Again, that we've in our society, we've got this silly thing we can't hug anymore, and you know, you can't have people touch you, and we can't shake hands and all that. It's just gotten a little crazy.
Right. But if we know that it's safe and we can hug somebody, it is really important in hugging family members, etc. So hugging for only 20 seconds a day decreases stress. That's not a lot.
And
There's a limit.
you know, Heidi, I've been around my grandchildren this weekend, and I find that, you know, if you say, give me a hug, these kids will, you know, they will give you a hug and you can give them a big hug.
I'm
They're
not going to
pretty
say no
darn
to,
good about
they're
it.
not going to say no to grandma, but they might say no to mom. But you're right. And that's really important, Mom. You're making a good point because after a loss, oftentimes people are hug deprived. Think about
Mhm.
children. Think about how much
Yep.
Scott hugged you. Scott hugged you a lot.
Yeah.
He was one of with you. I think he was one of your bigger huggers for your kids with your kids.
Yeah, he was a big hugger and he liked big, tight hugs.
Yes, and having him die, it's hard because sometimes you're touch deprived when your
Yeah.
children
Yeah.
die and your siblings and your
So
grandchildren.
we had a friend who had her husband died, and she was on our radio show, and she said, you know, I went to work and I told people I needed 18 hugs a day at work. And we said, did you get him? And she said, yep, I did.
Well, I didn't even think about that. A spouse dying is huge as far as being touch deprived. So, like you said, we need to teach people how to be good grief support, and which is what she did. We need to let people know what we need. And hugs are something that we really have less of when someone we love dies. So there's a link between hugs and lower risk of heart disease, which I think is interesting.
Hmm.
And Mom, what's the beautiful thing about hugs?
You can hug yourself.
Yes, yes. I love this. And your
Why
body.
do you think, let's do the next slide. Why do you think babies do that and rock?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that. So hug yourself or someone else if someone else is in the room. I'm here alone, so I'm going to hug myself because your body will think somebody else is hugging you. That's why it works. So
Yep.
you really have to lean into it and get into it, even though it seems
You can
goofy.
rub your shoulders or whatever. And we do have a homework assignment for you on this, and that is to get a hug today.
Yeah, I like that. And if you can't if there's no one in your life that's going to hug you today, hug yourself.
And hug
Because
yourself.
this, Pima Chodron, who a lot of you know is a big, person out there in the world of self-help, she says, do compassion and hug yourself today. Compassionate action involves working with ourselves as much as working with others, which
And
we've talked about.
that comes into that love. This is self-love. It
Yes,
wouldn't hurt to tell yourself that I love you.
exactly.
Yeah,
And we're doing the best that we can in this world.
absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Heidi, I always think, have you ever thought about that you're the best Heidi in the world and you're the best Heidi Horsley that will ever be, because that's you. There'll never be another person like you. And for everybody that watches this, they are the best of who they are because there will never be another person like them.
Absolutely. And I heard someone say once, would the world still exist without you? Yes, but it would not exist in the same way. It would
Hmm.
be profoundly changed. So people have to, think about that too. We
Right,
are, everybody makes a profound difference in the world by being in it.
right. So let's go to our last slide because we want to run over these again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we ask you to see if one jumped out for you. Now, take a look at these again. Was it breath, it gratitude? Is it sleep? Is it mindfulness, self-compassion, social connection, exercise, laughter, focus on the positive, and hugs? Is there something there that you could pick out that you might want to try, or you might want to make a little connection with? Heidi, which one would you pick?
Well, I just recently moved from New York City to Tucson, Arizona, and I'm pretty overwhelmed. So I would say focus on the positive because I keep thinking about everything that I need to do and then everything that's not done here because I'm moving in. And I need to look at all the positive that's going on because there's a lot more positive than negative. And I'm focused, but I'm focusing on the negative. So what we focus on grows. So it's
Okay, so you're going to focus on nine, the positive. Okay, Heidi, it sounds really big. Okay, now I'm going to focus on the positive.
yeah.
I'm going to change my whole life. It's going to be really big. Could
Let's
you think of one thing that you could do to focus on the positive today? One small thing that you might try?
okay. I'm trying to think. One small thing that I might try. Let me give it a
One
thought.
small area that you want to be positive about that you've been negative. Small.
That I've been negative?
Yeah.
I guess I'm just okay. I am grateful that I now live in a house. I have not lived in a house really since high school. I've
Okay.
lived in an apartment. Now I have a house, so it's fun.
So that's it. And so you're going
I
to
was going to give it a backhanded compliment, but that's it. I'm going to stop.
So
To
you're
be
going to do that I'm positive that I'm in a house. Why don't you share that with
rather
your
rather than saying
family?
I have so much to do, it's overwhelming. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, that I'm
Oh,
positive about the house.
Christine said, and beautiful weather. Yes, that is something I definitely want to focus on. New York City's winters are harsh, and Arizona's winters
Okay,
are.
now stop. Now stop. You're doing the global thing. We know that weather is not always great in Arizona. So what, because it gets hot, really hot.
But
So
I said
you
in the
want
winter.
to focus on, I
Sorry,
like the day. Make it small.
I said in
I
the
like
winter.
the weather today, right?
I said in the winter it's nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
but make it small.
Okay.
I like the weather today.
Okay. I like the weather today.
And then you're successful. You
Yeah.
set a challenge that you're going to focus on the positive, and you focused on the positive today. So it's like New Year's Eve, saying I'm never going to overeat again, rather than saying I'm going to cut out M&Ms. You know what I mean? We give ourselves these broad categories, and then we can't do it. Glenn, have you got one that you picked out?
I want to be conscious of my gratitude. I don't really, so often I just ignore. I mean, I'm grateful to things, I'm grateful to people, but I don't do a very good job of expressing it either to myself or to others. So I'm going to start taking three things a day, and whether they're gratitude for something that's self-directed or towards someone else, but consciously make sure that I share that with either myself or the other individual and consciously share at least three things a day for that gratitude because I feel gratitude, but I rarely share it. And I think it's from what I was gathering, it's kind of that act of consciously doing it is
Yeah.
probably more important than just the feeling of it internally.
Okay,
Yes.
now we're going to pare it down a little bit, though.
But it's in the doing that changes, that shifts your energy.
Yeah, but we're going to pare it down a little bit. What could you do tomorrow to express gratitude? Tomorrow, it could be one or two things. It doesn't even need to be three. What could you do tomorrow? What do you plan on doing tomorrow to express gratitude?
Well, tomorrow specifically, I'd like to text my brother-in-law and thank him for really the fact that he's been supportive of me at a time when he's really in a tough place.
I love it. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about, because it's like a snowball and rolling it down the hill. You start with one thing that you can actually do and achieve, and then it feels good, and then it builds rather than packing it all in together. So I
So,
love it.
Mom, what are you going to do?
Let's see, what am I gonna do about all mine? Let's see. Well, I'm working on self-compassion, and that's been profound in this class I'm taking,
Yeah.
because what I did for my homework is, and I'm going to turn it in tonight. So I asked 8 people 3 things that they liked about me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I like that you did that. That must have been an interesting thing. You texted me and said, Heidi, I have this class. Tell me 3 things you like about me. Because how
uh-huh.
often do you get that feedback?
So it is, yeah. So it is self-compassion, self-love. So I'm asking other people to, I asked 8 people to tell me 3 things they liked about me. And I guess we're going to go talk about it tonight as our homework about self-love. And we'll be talking to our group about the nice things people said about us.
That's
How
really
often do we
nice
do
because
that?
I love that because oftentimes I'm at funerals. I know this sounds really strange. And I'm thinking the person that would love this the most isn't here, and that's the person that died. I mean, I want them to hear all this great stuff about themselves.
Yeah,
So I love
yeah,
that you did that now. I love that assignment. That's a great assignment.
yeah. So that's been fun. So our last slide, let's see. Oh, our last slide,
Mom, Christine, mom,
what?
mom. Christine just said, I like how positive you both are.
Oh, nice.
Christine, that's nice. I feel the same way about you, as I'm sure my mom does.
Uh-huh, absolutely. Do you have something you want to work on and tell us?
Christine, do you want to tell us something you want to work on? She hasn't typed in yet. She's probably thinking about it. She's like, oh no, I'm on the
Hey,
spot here.
we can go on and then have her and then stop when she texts it in. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so the last slide we're talking about bereavement. Practice what we preach and identify the ways that you can reduce stress in your own life. And please make it small so that you can achieve it. Hey, there she is. Hi.
Christine, welcome.
All right. Did we get one she wanted to work on?
I can't hear her. Your
I can't
audio, I
either.
think
Oh, well.
she's practicing being more quiet and listening.
All right, Christine, we love you. So we're going to bereavement stress, practice what you preach, identify ways in which you can reduce stress in your own life. And hey, by the way, guys, it's great to tell other people and try to get them to change. Our favorite thing in life is to try to get our partners and friends to do this stuff. Pick one of your little areas and do it yourself because that's really self-love. So our
Right.
last one is some books that we've written for Open to Hope. We want to tell you a little bit about them because if you're interested in teen grief relief, if you've got that kind of a problem, Heidi and I have written a great book about it. If you've got a guy if you've lost a child and you've got a guy who likes sports, you might, but for anyone, Real Men Do Cry is a great story, isn't it, Heidi?
Absolutely. It's a story about an NFL quarterback who was a quarterback for the Detroit Lions for 10 years, Eric Hipple, and his 15-year-old son, Jeff, dies by suicide. And it's his journey from the darkness back into the light. And he did much of what we said today in finding hope again.
Mm-hmm. And Signs of Hope from Heaven, if you like to read about signs, it's great. Fresh Griefs for Early Grievers. We've got one on handling the holidays and spouse loss. So we've covered a lot of areas at Open to Hope, and you can find us at opentohope.com. Our books are also on Amazon. You can download them. You can get them on, what is it we now get them on, Heidi, when we buy them online? You just listen to them.
Amazon, audiobooks,
Audio, and not audio. You can download them right on ebooks.
MP3. I don't know. You're giving me a
Ebooks.
tech, you're giving me a tech thing here. I have no idea. Oh,
Ebooks.
ebooks. Okay, good. Ebooks, yes. And like you said earlier in the beginning when we were introducing ourselves, we have done over 10 years of radio shows and almost 5 years of cable television shows. So we have a lot of stuff on opentohope.com for those of you out there that are looking for hope after loss.
And I'm going to give you a challenge today. If you're watching this, please tell one other person about Open to Hope because there's so many people that write for us and so many great people out there and so many friends and contacts. We're in one of Linda's books, and Glenn's been a friend for years, been on many shows, and we hope that you will let people know. And Heidi and I always want to say, do you want to say it, Heidi?
If you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own.
And God bless and good night and have an awesome day. And our last 2 slides will just show our references if you want to look up any of the information that we've told you. And when you tell people about what you're doing, you have some things that you can support it with that are scientifically based. And have a great night. And good night, Heidi. And good night, Glenn. And good night, Linda. And thank you, everybody. And Christine. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.